mysterious death curse washes over the land, driven by a powerful artifact known as the Soulmonger. 4 would-be heroes have been sent to the jungles of Chult to destroy the cause of this terrible affliction. Vale, the half-elven paladin who's just now learning of his divinely granted powers. Ubo, the total monk from a distant land who's as quick with his wit as he is with his staff. Brilinya, Aasimar warlock sent on this quest by her temple, discovering herself in this strange new land. And Gunslinger Cole, tiefling artificer and archaeologist who may just dig up more than she bargained for. This motley band of adventurers must work together to brave the poisonous plants, venomous monsters, thundering dinosaurs, and rotting undead of the jungle. Join the omnipotent dungeon master Jake from many-terrain domain to see if our heroes can find the Soulmonger, uncover the deeper mysteries of Chult, and free the world from the death curse. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to Chult of Personality.
Hey internets, it's Jake, and this is MTD&D's Tomb of Annihilation, Chult of Personality, our ongoing campaign in the Tomb of Annihilation Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign setting. And tonight is episode 18, Yellyark. And it's been a minute since we played. It's been a couple weeks. But we are back with Mike the Piper playing our half-elf paladin Vale Istafall. Marquise playing our Wanti sorcerer Dunala, a newly acquired, well, not even party member at this point. Just kind of in the same area as the rest of the PCs following the tragic death of Gunslinger Cole. Our ASMR warlock Brilinya, played by Megan. I almost said Megan, played by Brilinya. And our turtle monk, played by Drake Ubo. Does anybody want to recap? Nobody wants to recap. Drake's shaking his head no. I'll do a quick recap since it's been a couple weeks, but after, as I said, Gunslinger Cole's tragic death at the House of Man and Crocodile, after a rough but successful mini tomb raid, they came out of the small tomb to find that an Allosaurus and 2 Axebeaks had been waiting for them, and Cole did not survive being viciously, well, bitten in half by the Allosaurus. And the party gave her a proper burial and dealt with her death. They decided the next day to cross the river and head toward a place that had been marked many, many days ago by one of their patrons, the Merchant Prince, whose name just suddenly went out of my head. Anyway, he had marked this place for Cole, and it was marking the place called Vorn, and they decided to seek this out. And after much travel through the jungle, they made it to this location where they found a weathered shield guardian resting against an outcropping of rocks with several Wakange Otang. Dang it, I was so close. You hit it in the side chat. Okanga. It's like I keep wanting to say Wakanda, and it's not right. I'll get the name figured out. Anyway, they found this location. There had been many offerings left, and while they were investigating it, Dunala, and for some reason I can't remember if you came out before or after. I think it was after the goblin showed up.
Yep.
Some goblins came literally singing a little ditty to a place of offering for them. and there was a little bit of a standoff, and then Dunala showed up, and they actually wound up having a bit of a conversation with the goblins. Discovered that in Cole's journals that Brilinya was looking through, there was an illustration of an amulet that the Goblin Tech claims that their Queen Grabstab actually has, which they believe to be the control amulet, they being the party, the control amulet for the Shield Guardian. And so they all went to sleep with the promise of the small band of goblins leading them to their village of Yellyark, and that they would extend the treaty of the truce of the clearing to the party and to their village. And so they went to sleep. And that's where we're going to open up, is the next morning. And all of you would find yourself, you're able to get a full rest, but you find in the later hours of your rest that you're getting uncomfortable in your sleep. Who would be on the last watch?
You know what? I think it would be me, because I'd probably want to get up with the dawn.
And so, Vale, you're on watch. The rest of your party is in this clearing near these rock outcroppings. Ubo still has 4 of the goblins that are curled up against him, snoring softly. Everybody is just kind of beginning to stir a little bit. But you feel it, Vale, as somewhere in the night and in the early morning, as the sun begins to rise, it doesn't rise with that orange glow of another hot day, but gray and overcast. And it begins drizzling lightly, and you feel, in the course of just less than an hour, you feel a cold front move in. This is the coldest you've experienced, other than your brief time in the tunnels with Chultmas, who turned out to be Artist Simber. That was an unnatural cold, a magical cold. This is the chill of what you're used to from further up along the Sword Coast, north of Waterdeep, north even of Neverwinter. It feels like an autumn day, gray, rainy, and cold. A typical Chultan morning is in the 90s, and it feels like it's about 40 degrees cooler this morning. So it's somewhere in the 50s, which, relatively speaking, is enough that as all of you begin to stir, you feel this chill in your bones. You start to awaken groggily with that just achiness that comes with the cold and the rain. Vale, what are you doing as everybody begins to stir?
I think I'll be like just kind of sitting cross-legged, and just kind of scanning around. I'll also, like, I would have kept the fire going, or at least a small fire, throughout the night. And I don't know, I'd probably just kind of mutter to myself and just, see if Ubtao is listening, and probably say, "Well, Ubtao, you brought us here. But what for?" I mean, I'm not saying that I do believe. I mean, I guess I do, don't I? I mean, granted me all this all these powers and whatnot. But it's weird, you know. I mean, are we supposed to restart this huge metal contraption? You know, go stomping around your jungle. I mean, you're going to be pissed at that. You know, knock down a few trees. I mean, it seems to me like you, well, like me, I guess, you are kind of more chaotic in nature, right? I mean, you just probably think to yourself, hey, you know, the jungle's all part of the jungle. You know, trees fall, bits get burned, and it all grows back eventually.
The prayer weird, Dunala would say, having been awoken by the rain. He was listening to your prayer, Vale, and if you do remember, he is a fellow Utau enthusiast, I guess we'll call it. He rises behind you with his purple cloak thrown over his head. You see the rain is not touching him, but the rain actually stops before it touches him, and then it moves off in a different direction, as he's using some sort of magic to basically keep himself dry. He approaches you, and the rain moves away from you two, the water pulling itself from your clothing. And Dunala says, but I think you question too much, Vale.
Well, I just like to know, Dunala. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of new at this whole thing. Like, I've never been much of a, don't know, a follower. I mean, yeah, the gods are real. Well, I mean, you know, like, I know the gods are real and whatnot, but I don't know, I've just never really thrown my cloak in with one of them in particular. But now this one, I don't know, maybe you just saw something and all this was going to happen. Just needed my help.
Remember, Vale. And Dunala grabs your shoulder, right? And like he grabs in that comforting way and he looks at you and he says, remember, Vale, your eyes, Ubtau's eyes. Your hands, Ubtau's hands. What you do, Ubtau does. Well, he chose you, yes?
I mean, I guess. Like I said, I mean, I just found this holy symbol just half buried in the ground, and I don't know. I mean, maybe he thinks I'm someone else. You know, maybe he thinks I'm the poor person who used to have this, and then I don't know. Maybe they died, or maybe
the panther knows it always is panther, and the panther knows it must always hunt. Panther does not make mistake there. Ubtau is panther, and you are panther too.
To be fair, it's a big jungle. I'm pretty sure a panther's at least tripped or fallen at least once or twice here. I mean, I'm just gonna throw that out. I mean, no matter how graceful the deer, it trips over shit every so often.
You have way with wood in your tongue. Ubtau like that, I think. And then he's going to walk away from you and start walking around the camp, just looking around what's going on.
Well, I hope Ubtau, and just I kind of utter my breath. Hope Ubtau teaches me that trick. Probably stay dry in this godforsaken weather. Then I'll probably start making breakfast or something.
Jake, has the sun come up yet?
Insofar as it's lighter than it was, but there's no... Everything just has a gray cast to it.
I think Ubo would probably just hear the last little bit of that conversation between Vale and Dunala, and you would just kind of... And he would look down and realize that all the goblins were still kind of over his legs and stuff like that. He would actually be very polite and just kind of taking his hands and kind of shoving them off to the side, standing up and just kind of stretching. And he would kind of look over at Vale. Have you made a new friend?
Well, I mean, he seems all right. He seems nice enough.
He does seem nice. Just probably shouldn't trust him yet. I mean,
Look,
then again, we are sitting with goblins in the middle of the jungle.
True enough. True enough. And we all still have our things.
Our things?
Well, you know, I mean, all of our worldly possessions and our lives. You know, none of them have cut our throats in our sleep. So, I mean, that's looking up.
And with you saying that, Ubo, in a very unlike him, would just kind of look up at you, and as the sun's kind of coming up, he would just kind of, like I said, it was getting a little bit lighter. He would just kind of smile and giggle a little bit. And just, it's going to be a good day.
I think it's going to be a great day. I mean, it's cool. Isn't this nice? I mean, it's great. You know, it's not stifling heat or... Now, wait a minute. I just thought of something. I mean, it's cool outside. You don't think them frost giants have just, coming around here, do you?
I wouldn't know. I hope not.
You can still speak giant, can't you?
Yes, I can still speak giant. I don't plan on making the same greeting as I did before. That one probably wasn't the best choice at the time.
What, did you insult their mothers or something?
Let's just say we don't want to run into him again. I sent him on a bit of a wild goose chase. And when he finds that out, it's not going to go well. We should stay ahead as quickly as we can.
Oh dear.
Brilinya, what about you? You're probably waking up about now.
I think that Brilinya is waking up with a real chill, maybe kind of shivering a bit because she was a bit away from the fire, and I think that's where she fell asleep with all like the books in front of her. And I think with the rain, the pages have gotten like a little bit wet. Maybe the ink has ran a little bit, and she quickly kind of gathers everything up and walks over to where everyone else is kind of getting up and gathering. And well, I have some interesting news about this thing, and she points to the statue, and she opens the pages to the amulet in the scroll or in the book, and she says this amulet is, I think it's supposed to activate it, and the goblins have it. But they've agreed to let us go with them to find it. I think I've maybe convinced them, or at least one of them.
Well, that's wonderful news. You think we can try and barter for it?
I don't know. I don't have much experience with... Maybe if we just show them a bunch of shiny things, they'll give us the amulet?
Even among goblins, there's going to be sacred relics, even if it's primitive to us. Goblins are still going to have their shiny things that have been passed down, but I don't know if we could... Well, it's probably something very important to them. I don't know if we could...
And she would kind of lower her voice and just lean in, make sure none of the other goblins were listening. And she says, I might have told them a lie.
What was that?
I said that their god thinks that they're the chosen ones, and that it'll help them with what they need.
That was probably not the wisest thing of you to say. Dunala would comment as he reapproaches the group and hears that last bit.
And who are you?
I am Dunala. Dunala is I. I know your friend here. He is fellow pilgrim.
Just a question, Dunala. What do you know about this big mechanical fella here?
Dunala know nothing about this. This is nothing Dunala hear about this child. Nothing we Chultans talk about. Probably property of some wizard or artificer who left it here.
Suppose. I was kind of hoping that if we knew what it was for, I mean, we should probably, wait before we reactivated it or start it up again.
The amulet in the book that you were mentioning. What is your name, young miss?
Brilinya.
Miss Brilinya. The amulet, I imagine, will allow you to control it. They just not figured it out yet. Give us the amulet, and it will do what we order it to do. Pilgrim.
She nods and she says, our previous companion, she was very interested in this thing and making it work, so... But without her, I'm not sure.
Well, Dunala know a thing or two about spells here and there. And I have met a fellow panther in the jungle, and he looks to Vale again, and he says, Ubtao has brought me here, and so I will do as Ubtao has commanded me to do, and I will assist my fellows. If you would like to figure out how to make this whole construction work, Dunala will assist, for no cost this time.
This time.
It is a joke, my friend. I do not think turtles are good with jokes, but Dunala joke occasionally. Probably translates better in Chultan tongue, but Dunala no think you speak Chultan tongue.
Vale, you said that you were preparing breakfast. What were you preparing?
Probably just a couple of whatever rations or whatever things that we brought. If we have any dried meats, we have any
There's probably still, because the night before Salida had brought with her some of the Allosaurus meat. So there's still a little bit of that left, and you would know that it's already been, you're going on your second day, that this is probably your last chance to eat it before the meal, before the meat turns.
All right, so I'll probably start cooking it up. I'll cook up enough for the four of us, and even some extra if the goblins, are so apt. I'm sure there's not a lot of vegan goblins in Chult.
Well, it becomes quickly apparent to you as the cooking meat begins to permeate the area. The goblins begin to stir as you guys are having your conversation. And with no pretense, the goblins just move to where you're preparing the meat and start reaching for it.
All right, well, I'll make sure that there's enough portions for the four of us kind of off to the side so that they can just get in there and do their little gobliny goblinness.
So there's 5 goblins. They are in the new morning light. It's gotten a bit brighter, still gray, but you can see that despite the surprisingly calm demeanor of these goblins from the night before, they're still filthy. They have dirty loincloths. They are kind of smelly. They're dirty goblins. And you can see they're kind of rude. They don't even ask anything. They just come in and start grabbing for the food, mumbling and gobbling amongst themselves. They kind of push past you, push around your legs and stuff, as if they're used to just shoving past others. And They're just jabbering amongst themselves and chomping on some of the meat. And after just a quick couple moments, the one from before that did most of the talking, Tech, just looks up. Dinosaur grease dripping down his face. Is this all you have?
Well, we were hoping that you'd go forage and get some more.
You want us to forage for dinosaur?
Well, it doesn't have to be dinosaur. I mean, it could be anything. Could be eggs. Could be mushrooms that aren't going to kill us. You know, could be berries that aren't going to kill us. Basically, anything that we could put into our mouths and put through our guts without us heaving it back up again would be grand.
One of the goblins goes, and then all the goblins start going. And Tech just kind of, he glances at you a couple times, Vale, as they're all kind of laughing.
Cross. I'll look mad, like just kind of frowning.
It's no worry. It's only, and he points to one of the other goblins. Heard it. He say, he got something you can put in your mouth.
Oh right, did he bring his mother along?
No, his mother is not here. Why does that matter?
Never mind. Never mind.
Little Batili, Dunala would say. And he'd hold up his plate and he'd offer it. Dunala has eaten from it, but he's eaten the same amount that a bird would eat to get full, right? So a very little amount. And he gives the rest away to the goblins. Imagine that we just take it straight off the plate or whatever it is.
Oh, the five of them just they start to scrabble over what's there, pulling on, a big chunk. Three of them are pulling on, ripping it apart. This seems to be, they're not really fighting with each other. It just seems to be pretty typical goblin behavior.
And then Dunala will say in Chulton to Salida, assuming she's close by, a goblin with a full belly is a goblin whose throat will be easy to slit.
And she says, back to you in Chulton, this is a wise observation. We must always keep them in our sights. And Tech looks up at all of you and he says, is everybody there still?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, my computer just flipped out and I want to make sure I didn't lose the stream.
Stream explodes.
Just my screens just went all haywire for a second there. Okay. Looks like we're still streaming. Sorry for that. Okay. So Tech says, today we will take you to Yellyark and to Queen Grabstab, just like we say. On our way, for you, and he points to Vale, we will find you mushrooms and eggs and whatever else you want to put in your mouth. And he starts barking orders at the other goblins. Once we leave the clearing, we must be on the lookout for Grung and Veggie Pygmy. Once we are out of the clearing, the truce no longer applies for them. But for you, we allow. All of us will help to protect, and they all have gathered up their wooden masks and their spears. They have scimitars. A couple of them have bows, crude bows strapped to their backs. And he just kind of points at them and indicates, I am Tech. This is Lilth. This is Merm. This is Orkel. This is Erdit. We will keep you safe throughout the jungle. You come with us. Yellyark is not more than half a day to the north. We go. And he and the goblins begin moving forward. Lilth and Merm taking up the left flank, and Orkel and Erdit taking up the right flank.
I hereby
Well-
claim Orgel as my personal
Yep.
goblin.
We're all in the chat, guys, claiming goblins. So
Well, for those that have been watching on Sunday nights, Cryfoth the last 7 days, the goblin names are a little bit of a Easter egg. I know that I saw Megan right away, and Marquise were getting that one. But yeah, so do you guys immediately take up with them, or as they start heading out towards the north?
I think Brilinya would kind of make sure that everyone is kind of okay with this, because she just kind of did this, and they're leading in on a lie as well. So she would just kind of look kind of worriedly over to Vale and Ubo.
I'll just shrug my shoulders and say, well, really don't have much of a choice, so... And I'll just make sure that I've got at least 2 goblins near me at any one point in time. So just in case they try to backstab us, I can just slaughter them.
I think Ubo, Brill, you would see that Ubo has just a very uncharacteristic smile. And as we start walking, he actually almost kind of kneels down halfway and like extends his arm to Merm, trying to see if he'll like jump on his back. Jake, would he?
Yeah, he will.
Okay, then we'll just continue going like a Master Blaster style.
So you've got Merm on your back?
Yep.
All right. All right, so you guys begin journeying to the north. And the goblins are kind of... They shift from their almost playful nature in the clearing. As soon as you're out of the clearing, they start moving relatively quietly. They have a more tactical approach. Even Merm up on Ubo's shoulders seems to be scanning around, recognizing the advantage of being high up on your back. He's drawn his short bow and just has it as at the ready. And who would be... So Tech is leading in the front. Who would be up in the front with Tech?
I think Brilinya would be.
Dunala, where have you placed yourself?
Dunala is probably a few steps, a good number of paces behind the party. Not so far away that he's behind the goblins, but just like he's definitely in the back.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, did you say Brilinya, you said you'd be up near the front? And you're all close enough that everybody would be within earshot of one another at normal talking voice. And Tech just, he begins to kind of mutter or talk conversationally with you a little bit, Brilinya, as he's walking along. He's got his scimitar out and he kind of swipes at some brush every once in a while to clear away. And he just says, I do not like how cold it is. This is not a good sign from Gedarn. Something strange is in the air.
Brilinya would just nod and... Has it ever been this cold before?
Every once in a while, the weather shifts and the cold winds blow. Not much good comes from that. It changes the balance of the jungle. And of late, we don't like unbalance. And then as he says this, the other goblins, so whoever's near one of the other goblins, would hear them murmur. And Ubo, you would hear Myrm actually mutter, "The green shadow."
Ubo would just kind of crane his neck and kind of look up. What's the green shadow?
Nobody knows. The green shadow. It is why we were coming to Gedarn to make offering for Yellyark. The green shadow has appeared only as a shadow. But goblins that leave the safety of the village often do not return. We find their masks shattered, impaled on trees. Never more than a loose scimitar, or spear, or broken mask.
Hearing that, Ubo would... And you said everybody could hear this, right?
Yeah, you're all at normal conversational tone. You're all within earshot.
Okay. Ubo would look over to Salida. Do you know about this green shadow?
This is nothing I have heard of.
Surely, Salida. You know not of green shadow, but you know jungle is superstitious place. Half of superstitions are real. This green shadow, probably one of many likewise predators in these jungles, young turtle.
And one of the other goblins near you, Dunala, says, "It is true. We have many beliefs in the jungle. You call them superstition. We call them belief."
Superstition and belief, goblin, are not mutually exclusive, and Dunala believe everything.
But many belief and superstition come from generations, handed down from our ancestors, or from the jungle itself. But the green shadow is a new threat. We are the first generation to experience the green shadow.
So how long has this green shadow been? Hey, I mean, has anyone ever seen it and lived to tell the tale?
None that have lived have seen more than a green shadow on the edges of our vision, at the edge of the wood.
And you've seen no other footprints, or... I mean, clearly you must have expert trackers to try and find out what's going on.
We are all expert trackers. And then the goblins start to argue amongst themselves. I am the best tracker. No. I am the best. Lilt is the best tracker. No, it's Oracle.
While they're
Myrm is the
arguing,
best.
I'm going to turn to the others and go, why the fuck were we afraid of these things in the first fucking place? I mean, seriously. Like, why? If this is all it took.
I mean, generally, the overall disposition is that the goblins are kind of like surly teenagers. That's kind of the attitude you get. Surly human teenagers. I need a I'm gonna have Tech and Brilinya give me perception.
Got a 9.
Who would be next? If we've got Brilinya and Tech is in the front, Dunala's in the back. Ubo, where are you in the line?
I'd kind of be center mast. I would kind of be with the group. just kind of center. So I can be next or Vale. Doesn't matter to me.
Because the way you guys are describing it, I'm almost picturing this just being almost like a wedge formation moving through the jungle. So Brilinya and Tech are on point. And then as we move back, we have like Vale and Ubo with Merm and probably Lilth. And then Oracle kind of in Erdit kind of in the middle there with Murmur. Or not Murmur. Dunala and Salida near the back. So, Vale and Ubo, give me perception checks.
Okay. That'd be a 4. What about Merm? Can I roll for Merm since he's so high?
Yeah, go ahead and roll for Merm, and that's going to be a -1.
It's an 8.
What'd you get, Vale?
Oh shit. Nat 20. Aw, damn.
Ubo,
And there goes my one nat 20 for the game.
Ubo favors, not Ubo, Ubtao favors Vale this day. As the party's moving along, it's actually Vale. You're the first to notice this, and it's only about 20 yards away from you. You see a very large, for this type of creature, you see a large rabbit. Droopy, long ears, brown fur. It's sitting up on its hind legs, kind of looking around, but it's quite large for it's quite large for the size of for a rabbit. And it's just kind of perked up and watching as everybody seems to be walking by, and it's only 10 feet away from you. But it's the horn, the foot-long spiral horn.
We're booking it. I'm booking it. Matter of fact, I'm running. I'm leaving Chult. I'm going back to the Dales, and I'm going. I'm sorry. I've dealt with one of these things.
I'm glad someone else
in
knows
another
exactly what this
campaign.
is.
I've dealt with one of these things in another campaign, and it damn near TPK'd us.
Okay,
So
I'm
running.
I gotta ask, because like months and months and months ago when we were talking about general Tomb of Annihilation stuff, I brought up this creature, and you had the same reaction. Is there something from an earlier edition that I'm missing?
It is an old creature. It does come from earlier editions.
I ran into this in near the beginning of a Pathfinder campaign I'm also in. It's like one of like 5 campaigns I'm playing in right now. But this thing is the epitome of evil. All right, forget. I will deal with all of the. I'll deal with Demogorgons, and I will deal with all the princes of the apocalypse.
It's just a bunny.
Oh man!
Okay.
You young naive fool, Drake.
You know what? I'll tell you what. You go ahead.
Yeah.
As Ubo, it's just a bunny, Vale.
All right,
I'm not going to meta it.
No, I'm just trying to unpack this a little bit because I don't have a lot of experience with earlier editions. I mean, what is it? What do you think it is?
I forget the name of it, but I know they specifically pulled it out of 2E, and I've been against one before because Locrius ran it, right? Locrius ran it, and he reskinned it as some kind of Indian unicorn before he showed me the stats, and it tore me like 3 different assholes. So I'm not a fan of it. It's very scary. But meta aside, the Al Mirage. There we go.
It's weird. I guess I'll have to do some research into it because meta aside, in 5e the Al Mirage is not anything to be afraid of. He said with a mischievous grin.
Jake says as it impales our heart.
All right. Let's go back into it. Sorry, I had to get to the bottom of that because I felt like, man, I'm really missing something. You guys are afraid of a rabbit.
As a native Chultan know what this is?
Give me a nature check with advantage.
It's going to be a 15.
You know of them. You know that they are Almirage. They're actually quite tame, or rather timid. They're often sought after by merchants to be captured and sold as trained pets, or even as familiars for certain types of adventurers. Some view them as boons of good luck. Some view them as incredibly dangerous. Yeah, that's what you know about it.
Dunal would say to the rest of the party who's within earshot, as you said to everyone, he would say, Utau's fortune is there. Remember this creature, Vale. It is important for us.
Ubo, roll me a d20 and add 4 to it.
Add 4 to it. 23.
As you're saying this, Dunala, you see as for a moment it looks almost as if the El Mirage instantly sprouts a second horn. As Ubo, you hear twang from your shoulder. And you realize as the El Mirage falls over dead, that Merm just shot it. The goblins rush over, and there's a couple quick flashes of scimitar. And then they've cut a large branch and used some vines to tie it off, and 2 of the goblins now carry it between them. This will be good for the feast at Yellyark. El Mirage is very delicious.
Are those horns good for anything?
One of the goblins says, and they start snickering again. And Tek goes, maybe this one would like to put it in his mouth.
That was perfect.
All right, fuck it. I stabbed that goblin. I stabbed that goblin right in the goddamn head. Full on. Matter of fact, not only do I stab it in the head, but I'm also gonna use thunderous smite.
Well played, Dungeon Master. Well played.
I'm gonna give myself a point of inspiration for that.
No, that is not how inspiration works. No.
All right, so you guys continue marching. The rest of the way, you see a little bit of wildlife, but eventually you emerge from the south into a relative clearing. There's a small stream that is running off to one side, and I'm going to go ahead and shift the screen here so you can see. You are coming in from the south, and what you see is a few along the edge of the stream. You see some little canoes. You see a few small huts set up on what appears to be a sort of array of large timbers arranged in a pattern, and then a couple of cook fires. You see that there is, immediately where you come out on that southern edge there is a large metal cage that is currently empty. And then off just to the north a little ways you see a larger hut. And the goblins give a call out as you come into the clearing in Goblin. Kedoleon! Tato! And seemingly out of several of the trees emerge goblins. And they are drawing bows. Several of them begin to wield spears. A couple of them even really close to you, they very quickly stack 2, 3, 4 high into Batiri battle stacks. As the 4 of you, or rather the 5 of you, emerge with the goblins. And Tek immediately runs to the front and he begins talking in Goblin very quickly. And gesturing wildly. Several of the goblins are yelling back and forth. And they eventually get the rest of the goblins to calm down a bit as they begin to lead you into the village proper. What is your immediate impression upon seeing this village? And we'll go with Ubo, since Brilinya disappeared for a moment.
I think Ubo would, again, keep that. I mean, would Merm still be on my shoulders? I would think so.
Yeah, at this point, you wouldn't necessarily see it, but the rest of your party would see that he's actually kind of almost has like a Captain Morgan pose on your shoulder. He's holding a scimitar in the air. This is clearly a big deal for him to be seen upon your shoulders.
I think just realizing that kind of how important it was to him. I think that Ubo would actually reach up with his hands and actually kind of grab him by his little legs and lift him as high as he could over his head. Just like grab him by like the thighs and just hold him up and just kind of, up and down, just like in like a cheer thing, just to kind of emphasize what he's doing. Give me a little.
Give me a performance check.
Okay. It's an unnatural 20.
The stacks of goblins quickly break down, and Merm begins chanting just with a "Hya! Hya! Hya!" and all the other goblins start taking up this chant as you kind of hold him up and are showing him around. Dunala, what is your thoughts?
Dunala watches as all this happens very calmly. The others do not know it yet, but Dunala does not know what emotion feels like anymore. And so fear, anxiety, all that stuff doesn't even touch his mind. But he watches coldly, logically, his eyes not blinking, counting the amount of goblins here. And then he begins to feign the emotions he knows he needs to feign. Dunala, it looks like he frowns. It looks like he's slightly sweating, when in reality he's seeing a few drops of water from the rain hit his face. And it looks as if he is nervous to be in the situation. But in reality, he is not. And he takes one step closer to Vale, feigning it as if he's looking to him for protection, when in reality, he's just basically trying to put on this facade.
Give me a performance.
That is going to be a 16.
Okay. And Dunala, you would hear, actually, Vale, you would hear this as well, because she says this in common. Salida just kind of leans in close to the two of you and says, "This has become increasingly uncomfortable. I have already counted at least 30 of the Batiri.
34 by my counts. Chult and Pantheris. And I agree. Very uncomfortable.
Oh, good. Yes, please add more goblins, Marquise. That's a great idea. Just
I count
Hey.
67 goblins, Jake.
175.
Yep. It's an entire army. They also have siege weaponry,
It
ballistas.
turns out that those huts are trebuchets ready to just throw more goblins at us.
They got an Abrams.
They're like the huts are the goblin generators.
Oh my God, we're dealing with fucking Chult and Jawas.
So as Murm. See, I shot myself in the foot using this little Easter egg names.
Murmur's dead, Jake. Remember that.
Yes, they're all dead. Murm is doing just this chia, 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 and everybody's chanting. All of a sudden, starting at the northern edge, actually, so real quick, since Brilinya is back now, Ubo has raised Murm high in the air, and he's chanting. Murm is, all the goblins are chanting. Dunala is looking, for all intents and purposes, very nervous to be in the situation. Salida has just said that she doesn't like the odds. There's at least 30 plus goblins in the area. What, Brilinya, are you thinking as you're seeing this site of this village and all these goblins? I'm going to cut to the map again for you guys for a few minutes.
Yeah, right now Brilinya is definitely thinking that this might have been a mistake. That she was so trying with Cole to, with what she wanted and trying to get this thing to work. I don't know if she thinks that she's thought this all the way through, so... but she is trying to not let that look on her face. And I think she would say to Tech just, so where is Grabstab?
And as she's saying that, Vale, I don't believe we got your reaction.
I was look around and kind of make sure I check out, like, start basically like Salida. I'm gonna just start like counting all the different groups of goblins together, just keeping a wary eye on them, and I'd probably just like kind of like look around. I assume these, like with the picture on the map, these huts are actually underneath what looks to be a giant canopy, right? Or am I?
It's the other way around.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're actually on a canopy. All these timbers are on the ground, arranged in this pattern.
That's weird.
Go ahead and since the three of you are pretty much kind of scoping the area out, give me, Vale, a perception check with advantage. It's basically as if Salida and Dunala are helping you take a quick sit rep, get a quick salute report.
All right, so that'd be a 16.
You identify that Dunala was almost on the nose with it. There are 34 adult goblins that you can see. But you also see at least a dozen goblin children running around as well. And at this point, as Brilinya says, Brilinya asks, where is Grabstab? From the back of the camp, kind of moving forward, is a hush begins to fall over all the chanting goblins as out of this larger hut emerges this gnarled looking goblin. Her skin is gray. She is decked in, like many of the Batiri, they have the bright colors that are in their mask. Some of them are adorned with feathers. She has this like collar of feathers around her, and she carries a staff. And as she begins moving through the crowd with her staff, all the goblins, every time she takes a step and her staff hits the ground, the goblins just kind of give her a little bit of a berth. And Brilinya, as Tech just points, you see that with each step, something around her neck sways with the motion. It's probably about 4 inches in diameter. And it's as if the drawing in the book has come to life. You see the Shield Guardian control amulet around Queen Grabstab's neck. She approaches to within about 20 feet of all of you. And she looks around, and then her eyes settle on Tech.
Der on Kilatol Kalender.
And Tech begins speaking back to her, and there's a back and forth for a moment. And actually, I'm going to have Brilinya, I'm going to have you roll me a charisma check at -1.
That is a 20.
So as Tech is talking with the Queen, they're having this. He's you can tell from his tone, though you cannot understand. You cannot understand his exact words. You can tell that he's trying to be forceful while being respectful. And after just a moment, Grabstab slams her staff down, cutting Tech off. And she looks around at all of you.
Tech, I say. He has extended the truce to you on behalf of the Biting Ant tribe. You have accepted the truce. Is this true?
And she's looking at you, Brilinya.
Brilinya is careful not to look directly into the eyes of this goblin, but just quickly kind of nods her head a few times. Yes.
Give me a straight charisma check.
18.
What purpose have you in Yellyark? Tech, tell me. You to bring Gedarn to life.
Yes, that's right. Well, with your help, of course, we would like to make Gadarn be able to move and think and do things.
Why would you bring Gedarn to Yellyark? What is purpose for you?
If, as long as there's no opposition, there we go. Gosh, words. You're dead. Anyway, I would probably go up and go, well, as a show of good faith, Chiefess, we would like to extend our abilities and our powers to help you meet your god. This Gadam fellow we could bring back. You may worship him and do what you will with it.
And he will take care of the green shadow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Remember that green shadow?
When you mention the green shadow, Grabstab immediately looks. Her head snaps back to Tech.
He did not tell me. I received a vision from your god, who sent me here, Chiefess. And when I got here, I came to help you. For the green shadow is my enemy, as it is your enemy too.
Which one is the one that keeps being a little bastard to me? Is it Lilith?
No, it's Erdit.
Erdit? Okay, I point to Erdit, but he told me, so, you know. I mean, he's got a big mouth, this one.
Erdit always have a big mouth.
You should probably cut it out. Might teach him a lesson.
Erdit is likely to one day have his tongue cut out.
I mean, if you want me to help, you know, I'd be more than happy to ease you of the burden of cutting his head off.
Erdit speak out of turn. The green shadow is a problem of our tribe. It plagued us these last 10 days.
What if we helped you with the green shadow? We could do it, but what would you offer us in return? Something that we would ask of you.
You think you have the ability to deal with the vapor, with the shadow, with this thing that comes with the wind and takes my peoples.
Of course, we're the fucking protagonists of this story. Haven't you been paying attention? Sorry, I had to. I think we're up to the challenge. I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone. I'm going to turn back to everyone. I don't want to speak for everyone. But if we were to help you, what would you offer us in return? Something that we would ask.
If you were to help Yellyark with the green shadow, you would earn the allegiance of all my Batiri tribe.
Holy shit, it's just like Endor. All right. All right.
You would bring Gedarn to us to protect the village.
Sure, but we're going to need something from you.
But you must know that if you do this thing, you would make Yellyark target of the Grong and the Veggie Pygmy, who also worship Gedarn. They would not like it if he is gone from the clearing.
But Could Ubo would chime in over here. He would grab Merm and put him down. He would say, but if Gadarm was at your village, wouldn't those other tribes think that you were in his favor and maybe not risk it, thinking that your village was under his protection?
I do not know how it is that the frogs and the plant people think. Maybe it is you are right. Maybe it is you are wrong.
So, Jake, I have an innate casting feature as a 1C, so no components to cast suggestion. Dunala steps forward, and he gives a curt, slight bow to Yellyark. And he says to her, Dunala believe this, and Dunala think you too will believe this, chief this. Dunala say, if you have your God with you, others will come to you, and you make mighty empire in Chult and jungle. And you grow strong, and you grow powerful, and you grow blessed. You do not think that they will try to kill you or make you target. You think that they will help you. And I'm casting suggestion as I'm saying this to plant a suggestion into her head. That is actually a brilliant fucking idea.
There's a wisdom save on that, right?
Yep, wisdom save DC 16.
She looks at you, Dunala. The staff strikes the ground, and she steps closer. It takes perhaps 30 seconds for her to close the 30 feet, or the 20 feet, so that she is standing in front of you.
Dunala will bow his head as she gets closer.
She looks up at you.
I do not know where you come from.
And then she turns and looks to all of the goblins of the village of Yellyark, and she says,
But it is clear that Gidarn has sent these people to us to protect us. This one speaks with the wisdom of Gidarn. You will come with us into the village.
You have obviously succeeded in your suggestion.
Since it was cast to wanty bullshit magical stuff, I'm not sure if Salida would notice it at all, so just throwing that out there too. But dope.
No, I think Salida she's just showing just general wariness of this whole thing, so she's been kind of on guard, more for surprise attack or ambush or anything like that. So, all right, so you are brought into the village, and you are brought kind of into this area that's covered with this canopy. There's houses, huts all around. As they bring you across this area, and they actually lead you across it toward the larger hut that has the fire around it, and several of the goblins begin to gather around it, and goblins begin bringing food from all over. By this point, it's well past midday. They begin bringing food and tej, and so you guys are all basically circled around outside of Queen Grabstab's hut, and you're feasted. If you wish, you will have an opportunity to taste El Mirage, as they have dressed the El Mirage, and have spitted it, and it's roasting over the fire. Erdit, after a while, Erdit kind of, you feel a tug, Vale, on your sleeve at your elbow as you're kind of sitting on a log by the fire. You just feel a tug on your elbow. You see Erdit peering around behind you with these kind of like big goblin eyes, and his ears are actually kind of folded downward in an almost submissive way.
Oh, what do you want? You come to say something stupid again?
I have a tendency to say things that are dumb. The Queen
We all do.
The Queen has put much thought and time into making sure that Erdit know the language of the common people. And I know more than other goblins do, but they look at me weird. They don't treat me the same. So I tell dirty jokes a lot, and I pull pranks, so they will not think of me so bad.
I understand.
The Queen, she remind me that I behave in a way that is not good for the tribe.
And he seems to struggle for a minute. He scrunches his eyes up like he's in pain.
Emissary of the goblins, please accept my apology.
And he holds out to you the severed foot-long horn of the El Mirage.
I'll take it. Well, cheers. That was really nice of you. And, it takes a large person, big, stout of character, to be able to apologize. An apology accepted. And I'm just gonna kind of clap him on the shoulder.
He kind of stumbles for a minute under your clasp.
And then I'm gonna grab him and I'm gonna throw him into the fire. I'm just kidding. Or am I? No, I am. But am I? But shouldn't I? Anyway.
Does anybody... So at this point, there's just kind of general conversation with the goblins and feasting. Does anybody have... What would you guys be doing? Would anybody be talking specifically to the Queen or anybody else, or amongst yourselves?
I think that Brilinya would kind of go up to Dunala and just... I wanted to say thank you for helping out with that, with talking with the Queen. I don't know why you're helping us, but thank you.
Dunala is sitting with his legs folded underneath him, and he was watching the interaction with Vale very closely. When you come to approach and talk to him, his eyes just barely move to look towards you. And as he talks, Brilinya, I feel like you'd be acutely aware of the fact that he doesn't blink once during this conversation. And Dunala says, Dunala aid fellow pilgrims, scarred a dove. Worry it's not. We have bigger trials tomorrow.
Oh.
Soon, what I did with the Queen will begin to wear out, and she will doubt again. And when she doubts again, there will be openings for us to not only leave here, but to leave here enriched by Oobtown. You want that amulet, yes?
Yes.
And do you think it's wise that the BADASSERY goblins have control of something so powerful?
To be honest, I didn't think that far ahead.
Well, now is the time to think that far ahead. Imagine what they could do with it. Imagine what they could do to Chultans traveling through these parts with something like that.
She just kind of like furrow her brow at this kind of odd responds. Well, anyway, I suppose we'll deal with tomorrow when it comes.
You are wise, Scarred Dwarf. Wiser than I thought. Yes, tomorrow we shall deal with the mistakes of today. Dunal will look away from you, Brilinya, and he will look straight back at Vale, and then more specifically, the Almirage horn he has in his hands.
Yeah, Brilinya would just have this like look that she would just like furrow her brows at this and just kind of walk away, just kind of like shaking her head.
And during all this, Ubo's having a grand old time. He's drinking, he's eating, he's having fun with his new goblin friends. They're hanging from his arms, they're climbing up his shell, and I would think he'd be sitting within earshot of the chiefess. And he would say, "So, probably a little bit more intoxicated than he should be. This green shadow thing. What else can you say besides it's gas? Is there something else we can learn from it?" And he's just kind of staring, like leaning forward at her, seeing if he can get a little bit more information about whatever they're supposed to be doing.
The green shadow. It takes my people. 10 days ago, we numbered over 60. Some of my people were taken to the city. Some of my people were taken by humans. Some of my people, many of my people, were taken by the green shadow. And she's speaking really quietly. It comes in the night. It comes in the morning. Never during the day. Our patrols are often targets. Tek and the others, they went to Gedan to give offering for protection. And it seems to have worked, for there has not been an attack for 3 days.
So you say nobody's found? Nobody's... Is this new? Has this happened before? Is it just in the last 10 days? What is this something that's...
This is new. Never before have we faced this thing.
Have you seen it yourself?
I have sensed its presence. I smell it on the wind. I sense it in the air. A shift in the weather, like today. For the first time in a long time, it is much colder than a long time. This night, we must be on our guard.
With that, Ubo would just take whatever they're drinking, Tej and everything, he would just kind of down the whole thing and say, okay. And then just go back to just kind of enjoying himself.
Brilinya, Dunala, and Vale. Actually, everybody, give me perception. Ubo, you're at disadvantage for being drunk and in conversation.
Dunala has a natural 1, so he is hyper focused on Vale's Almirage.
8.
I got a 10.
Okay. So the celebration seems to kind of, as it begins, night begins to fall. The sun is setting. The fires are lit. The queen turns to you again and says, "What?" Talking specifically to Brilinya.
What is your plan? To bring Gedarn to us? How will you do this?
Well, using your, and she kind of gestures vaguely to the amulet. You can use that as a key. And it, or as more of a bell, and it will wake up Godarn.
She clutches at the amulet.
This is related to Gedarn? You say you can control Gedarn with my necklace?
Not control, just wake him up.
I have had this necklace for many years. I myself have made many pilgrimages to Gedarn. He has never woken up for me. Why you think he wake up for you?
Well, I have read many books, and there is a special way in which you can wake him up, a ritual.
She seems raptly attuned to your words. Dunala would be probably the only one that would recognize that concentrating on his suggestion, she's just tuned into anything that plays into this suggestion that they need Gedarn.
I have not taken this necklace off from around my neck for many years. But if Gedarn has sent you to us, then perhaps you will have it to bring Gedarn to us.
She would just kind of smile and would nod. She says, yes, I think that would be a very, very good thing. Would be a very great ruler.
Tonight. It must happen before the sun rises again, and the green shadow steals another life. Chiefess.
Already the sun dips to the horizon. Already the green shadow could be amongst the foliage around the village. You would chance your lives and the lives of my goblins to go on now when it is most dangerous.
Gudon is a god who demands not only sacrifice but faith. You trust in Gudon to protect you, do you not?
She looks at you with this righteous indignation.
How dare you question my devotion to Gedarn?
And you
Forgive me.
you
he
sense
would
this
say.
is still under your suggestion.
He bows his head in forgiveness, and he says, I merely say this, Chiefess, that the Gudon will protect us as long as we act tonight to wake him from his slumber. I have dreamt it. He has given me his dream.
Very well. But I will come with you. And my honor guard will come with. And we will do this thing together. Tonight.
Perfect, Dunala would say. And he would he would bow his head again.
Do you want to run through the jungle in the middle of the night? Is that the best idea?
Dunala looks at you, Ubo, and he looks to the cup of tej you've been drinking from. And then his eyes will look back to you. And he just simply nods his head, knowing that dealing with a drunken man is a lot harder than dealing with a goblin chiefess.
Yes, I think that Dunala is right. But I think we might have tried and she just kind of hisses. I think we might have tried a little harder to get the priestess not to come.
No. And Dunala, when he says no, the word is a whisper, and I'm casting the message cantrip, Jake, so no one else hears it other than Brilinya. But he says to her, no. It is good she comes, for the green shadow may take her too.
Brilinya just continues to shake her head and just kind of mutters, this is wrong.
Well, I can't stay here if you go. Vale, are you coming?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go. Besides, we really do have to see this thing through. I mean, it's what Cole would have wanted. So,
And with that, Ubo would take. You could see it in his eyes, but when you said that, he would take the cup of Tej and he would put it down and just take kind of a long sigh and not say a word.
Ubo, give me a con save.
16.
You are buzzing from the Tej, but it's nothing new, and you will not be affected. You might be a little happier tonight, at least for a couple hours, but you're not so inebriated that it's going to be a hindrance to you.
Okay.
Queen Grabstab rises. She kind of does that thing. She kind of pushes on her hips, push herself up. She grabs her staff, pounds it on a log, and a hush falls over the goblins.
Tonight, these strangers who have shared our food, who have shared our drink, they will take me to Gedarn. And I, with their help, will bring Gedarn back to us.
And she barks a few orders in Goblin, and 8 goblins, fiercer looking warriors that have not partaken in any of the Tej, have eaten a little, form up around her honor guard. She speaks to Tek, and she takes this kind of, besides the amulet, she has this thing around her neck, this feathered adornment that she actually removes, and she places it around Tek's neck, and she touches his shoulders with her staff and says,
You are now in charge of Yellyark. Protect it. If the trouble come in the night, you know what to do.
And then she turns to all of you and she says,
We must go.
and her honor guard begin heading south, back out of the village. As your party now consists of 8 goblins, a goblin chief, the 4 of you, and Salida. So there's 14 of you moving through the jungle now.
If we carry this party for the rest of the campaign, we're solid. I don't think we'll face any issues.
With the change into night, the weather. Actually, why don't you give me some D20 rolls? Let's see what's happening with the weather tonight. I need 3 D20s. The first 3 that I hear.
I got a 17.
14.
And one more.
I was
6.
waiting for Jake. There we go. Drake, I mean.
What was it?
6.
The rain has let up. The wind has died down, but the cool temperature persists. There's just that faint hint of leftover humidity from the rain and the previous day, but it's still quite chilly this night. As you begin moving through the jungle, will you take any special precautions? Is there anything special about your marching order or any plans you want to make?
I think that Brilinya would maybe see if she can, like, kind of grab Vale's arm a little bit and just kind of keep him back if everyone else goes up. And she would just say, "What do you know about this Dunala? What have you learned from him?"
I mean, not very much. I mean, he told me about Ubtao and how much he's a fan of him, like me. But I don't know too much. Why? I mean, he seems all right.
Something about him just seems off, and I think, no, I don't just think, I know he's gonna try and kill the goblins, the leader, somehow.
Well, I know the one thing we don't need is a tribe of goblins extremely angry at us. So we'll stop them if we have to. Put my sword through them if I need to. We'll see what happens.
She just nods. All right.
But whatever we do it together. I mean, 3 of us for now, and if Dunala plays ball, maybe the 4 of us. I mean, I'm not going to kick no one out. But we'll be all right. And I'm just going to hold, or at least attempt to hold Berlin's hand.
Yeah, she would just kind of smile and just, "Thank you. I was worried that he had tricked you with his words or something."
I've been on the road too long to trust anyone. Took me a while to trust you as well. I know. It's funny, isn't it? I mean, we live in a land of gods and magic and everything else, and just can't trust each other. It's weird. I mean, I've wanted to just go around, but I've seen just too many scams, too many shysters, too many pea in a cup. A little ball in a cup, and you see the street performers doing those things, and you always get some mark who bets on the right one, and then everyone else loses all their money. It's like that, but just with folks. And it's like that with folk, but just with words. And the worst thing is the higher up you go, when you become a noble and all that, it just gets worse and worse. You just get better at it. Till you don't even know what you're saying, until you don't even trust anyone anymore, but you're just saying things because you feel like they have to be said. Sometimes silence is nice too.
I'm starting to realize that now. It's unfortunate.
It is, but understand too, though, there should be a place in your heart for trusting someone. I mean, maybe Dunal is just an odd duck. And maybe, as time goes by, it's just his way. I mean, I'm sure there's things I do that just get on your cacks, and there's probably things that Ubo does that raises up the hairs on the back of your head.
Yeah.
And there's probably things that I do that piss you off.
I'm not the most normal either, so.
Come on, you're just perfect, you.
And she would normally just smile and kind of blush, but you see that she kind of looks like her smile just really disappears and she just looks really unnerved. and she would just let go of your hand and just. Anyway, thanks.
Sure. I'm sorry. Did I say something that made you upset? I'm sorry if I did. I didn't mean to.
No. It's okay. I think we're getting close, and we should be on our guard.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The other players are getting really awkward about it. So.
Ubo and Dunala, as they're kind of having this low conversation, Queen Grabstab in your formation is kind of keeping herself toward the middle. 4 of her guard are at 4 points on to the left and right front and left and right rear of her. The other 4 are kind of spread out in this kind of wedge formation. Salida is on point. And as Brilinya and Vale are having this conversation, Dunala, you catch a hint of citrus on the wind. You smell almost like walking through a lemon grove.
Dunala stops. He just flat out stops. His bare feet sinking a little bit in the mud. And I imagine like a couple of the goblins move past him, and like Vale and Brill are almost on top of him before they realize that he stopped. And then very mechanically, like a robot moving his head turns a little bit too far to face you two. And Dunala says, I smell lemons.
Ubo, as he says this, you smell wafting on the air a very strong scent of baked bread. And I want Ubo, Brilinya, and Vale to roll insight. And Ubo, you're going to do so at advantage.
17.
What'd you get, Mike?
Yeah, just an 8 for me.
Yeah, the wind keeps shifting enough that you're not quite picking up on the scent of lemon. But Brilinya, you actually start to smell this. Both the scent of lemon and bread, the way it's mingling almost smells like, kind of reminds you of like lemon poppy seed muffins. Something that would have been a very long time since you've smelled. But in particular, Brilinya and Ubo, it's not just the smell of baked bread and lemon that is familiar. It's this particular scent of lemon, this particular scent of baked bread. You remember not so long ago having somebody that traveled with you for a while that had pheromones that would give off emotions in these exact scents. And you would remember from your time spent with Dragonbait that lemon was a smell associated with joy, but that the stronger smell of baked bread always rose when Dragonbait was angry. There's just a sound that sounds like birds silently taking flight in the night. No squawking or anything like that. Off to your flank, there's a metallic sing. Who among you has dark vision? Vale.
I do.
And Dunala. Were the rest of you, would you have had, let me check something real quick.
I also have dark vision.
Ubo doesn't.
I don't think turtles do, no. I can just...
You're actually the only one of everybody in this party of 15 or 14 or whatever that doesn't. So would you have been relying on the dim light in favor of stealth, or...
Yeah, I mean, I would just kind of be with everyone, being careful. Probably not overly, just stay in the middle of everyone.
It's
Knowing
dark,
that I-
but not so dark that you can't make out shapes, and your eyes have adjusted enough that you can't see detail. But anything you do in the dark is going to be at disadvantage. But those of you with dark vision, as you hear this fluttering and you see this, you hear this sing, soon. It's immediately preceded, or rather followed by, the sound of two smallish bodies hitting the ground. As you see two of the goblins in the lead just drop. Ubo, you're the only one that hasn't seen it. You've just heard it. So what's everybody doing in reaction?
I'll draw my rapier because I didn't really catch any of the smells, so I don't know what
Right.
it is. But I'll go up and stand beside.
Those of you with dark vision would have seen a blur move across the front as the goblins were felled.
Like a blue blur, right?
Well,
Like totally
with your,
blue.
with your dark vision, it has this kind of grayish hue to it.
Ah, the legendary green shadow, the gray shadow, excuse me, cousin of the green shadow.
Right. At night, he is the green shadow, the gray shadow.
I'll run up and stand beside, and I guess I'll shout for everyone else.
So Vale's running up. The other goblins, you begin to hear, they suddenly realize what has happened. And the 6 remaining goblins form tightly around Queen Grabstab. Ubo, you hear the commotion. What do you do hearing this commotion?
So I don't know where anybody's going or anything like that. I can see shapes, but I hear
you
what
can
happened?
see enough. You see and hear enough. You know where everybody was. I mean, you're not blind, but you didn't see the detail of this. You just heard the commotion, and you hear Vale and see Vale kind of gathering up in the middle, and the goblins gathering around the queen.
Whatever direction Vale is in, I want to make one of these radiant sunbolts appear in my hand and throw it, purposely trying to go above Vale, like past Vale, so that it can maybe shed some light on something that's out there. It doesn't say anything about shedding light, but it's a radiant sunbolt. So I would assume
They're very dark, Drake. They don't shed any light.
I figured maybe it would illuminate so I could see what the hell's going on that way.
I'm gonna say, and this is the veteran soldier in me saying that I think Ubo, you would know something like this would probably work better if you shot it straight up into the air.
Sure, let's go with that.
This is the tactical soldier in me saying you're basically launching a flare.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
yeah, 30
them
feet in
parachute flares. Them parachute flares.
Mike, you probably know what to do when you hear the flare launching. I don't know. The
get down.
Canadian Army is probably trained similarly. But yeah, so Ubo, you're going to fire this off. You're firing it.
Twice, actually. I'm going to shoot 2 of them up because I can do it twice.
So there's going to be basically a foof, foof, and everything is just awash momentarily in this white light. And I'm going to do 2 things here. Ubo, roll me a d4.
D4. A second. Don't have a out.
And I'll say add 1 because you launched 2 bolts.
It's going to be a 3.
So your light, your illumination is going to last for 3 rounds. And I want everybody to roll for initiative. I'm going to roll for the...
Nope. Mine was a 1, not a 10.
I got a natural 20 for a total of 28 for my alert feat.
28? Is that what you said?
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Alert, yeah.
All right. Brilinya is at 24. Ubo's at 1. What'd you get, Mike? Are you muted, or are you just not talking?
Dang dammit, yes, I was muted. Derpity derp. Alright, so I got a nat 18 with perception plus 1, 19.
What did you say, perception?
Initiative.
Dexterity?
Initiative. Yeah, plus 4
Okay.
is 22. I'm sorry, I'm
Actually,
Nope, that's
it's going to be a 0 for me, Jake, because I'm a -1 for Dex. So
oh no.
can you roll a 0? on
Ubo
it?
can't move. No, it's a minimum of 1.
You are frozen by fear.
All right, so Dunala, you are going to be up first, followed by Brilinya, followed by Vale, followed by Queen Grabstab. Oops, I forgot to roll for...
Wait, who rolled higher than a 22?
two people did.
So with a natural
Dang.
20, I have a 28, Mr. Mike Piper.
Oh, I know why. Oh,
Four. Salida is going to be 5th. 6, 7. And of course, Ubo is last with that 1.
Yep.
But you have, and I'm going to tick them off here. So everybody has the benefit of standard. It's almost like it's, we'll say the equivalent of like early morning light with this radiant bolts that Ubo has fired into the air. And this is going to last for 3 rounds. So, Dunala, you're up. Something has killed the 2 goblins that you can clearly see now.
As light kind of rains down from these radiant bolts, Dunala is extraordinarily still. He is not blinking. You're not sure if he's even really breathing. He's not moving a single inch of his body. I'm holding my action. The trigger is if someone in the actual party, so Vale, Brilla, Ubo, or Salida is attacked, I'm going to cast a twinned haste spell.
Okay.
So, that's that.
Brilinya.
She has a feeling that she knows who this is. And so she's going to ready a spell of hold person for as soon as she sees Dragonbait or this blur.
Okay.
It is.
I just want to be prepped for this. Hold person has a save, right?
Yes. Wisdom saving throw.
Okay. Just want to be prepped so if that comes up. Okay, so you're holding as well. Vale has temporarily... Vale's kind of confused. We'll come back to him. He's trying to assess the situation. So as soon as he comes back, we'll slot him in. Queen Grabstab. You hear from the middle of your group as she says,
It is the Green Shadow. We should never have left the village.
but she takes no action, surrounded by her guard. I forgot to check to see. Salida kind of sees that Dunala and Brilinya haven't taken any direct action. And she kind of is watching. She's shifted so that her back is towards you as she's watching the rear of your group. And she just kind of over her shoulder.
What is it? What have you seen?
Dunala wouldn't answer. He's still just sitting there completely rigid.
Would you say anything, Brilinya?
Brilinya is very focused on as soon as she sees this blur, but she said, just hold.
Salida's twin scimitar blades are flashing in the radiant light as she's just kind of twirling them, just kind of not quite sure where the target is, waiting for something. Let's see. That's going to be 14, 15. All right, give me perception checks. And let me know anybody that beats a 15.
Not Dunala.
I did.
And then we'll come back to Vale real quick. Vale, give me a perception real quick.
You got it. That would be a 19.
Okay, and then I'll resolve that perception in a moment because we're going to slot you in. We jumped over you while you were gone. Pretty much at this point, Dunala, Brilinya, and Salida have all held their actions. What would Vale do in the wake of this first attack? And as these flares of radiant light shoot up into the canopy.
All right, so I'm going to scan around to see if I can find whatever this thing is. I totally know who it is, but I'm not going to metagame because I'm being really good.
What did you get for perception?
19.
19?
Yeah.
You see it as it emerges from the trees, and so do you, Brilinya. You see, moving very quickly, moving towards Queen Grabstab and the goblins. Longsword gleaming now in the light. You see the figure of Dragonbait moving with intent to strike at the goblins. This is the time, if you're going to do it, Brilinya, that you can launch off your...
Yeah, she's going to, as soon as she sees it, she's going to cast Hold Person.
All right, and that was, what did we say that was, a wisdom save?
Yep. DC 14.
And I have a +3 on wisdom. DC what?
14.
Dragonbait rolled a 14. You see, as he moves quickly, you see him just kind of stutter step as you almost succeed in grabbing him with this spell. But he bursts forth. The sword sings through the air again. And as it flashes through the air, coming dangerously close to anybody that's near the goblins, there's a spray of warm blood, a splintering of a mask, as two more goblins fall. And Brilinya and Vale, with those perception checks, you would see that where Dragonbait darts into the brush off to the right side of your group, obscured behind a tree, as, let's see, 4 goblins, so half of the goblin guard is dead now. As the 4 remaining goblins, 2 of them, let me see if they even see him. Okay. 2 of the goblins draw their scimitars and are huddled right up against the queen. The other 2 have bows at the ready, and they track, as the blood is still spraying through the air, they track Dragonbait, and they're going to take shots at him. An arrow ricochets off of the tree nearby. And let's see, he's got that. You, Vale, and Brilinya see, just as Dragonbait dips behind the tree, you see one of the arrows find its mark and lodge in Dragonbait's shoulder. Ubo, it is your turn. This is all happening in the span of a few seconds.
How far away is he from me?
He being...
Dragonbait?
You couldn't keep track of him. Your perception was too low.
And I can still see him. Or I can still see things.
Yeah, you can see stuff, but it just happened so fast. It's almost like you looked where he was, and as it happened, you kind of... Almost like as he's moving left to right, you kind of looked right to left and just kind of missed exactly where he went.
Not really knowing what's going on, he would just kind of snap down the front of his gauntlets and just kind of ready in action, and try to pay much closer attention the next time he can be seen. At this point, he's just standing still. He's got nothing to do.
All right. And that takes us back to the top of the action, or top of the order, with Dunala.
Dunala is very happy that this green shadow has appeared, for he was hoping that the green shadow would strike before we ever reach the actual god itself. Now that it has, Dunala moved to the next part of his plan. He looks over to the queen, and he shouts to her, "You must send back one of the goblins to the village. Tell them what has happened. Bring reinforcements." And he's trying to play on the suggestion that he's implanted on her, trying to make it seem like this would help our overall mission by sending back one of the goblins. So that would be his turn. It's just him trying to convince her to send back a goblin.
I'm going to say that's going to let her make the save again.
All right.
And what was that, a wisdom?
Wisdom save, correct.
Where the hell did they go? There we go. I lost my gobos for a minute there.
I stole your stats, Jake. You must roll blindly.
Oh yeah, -1. Oh yeah. She's very susceptible to this. She actually indicates 2 of her remaining 4 goblins and tells them to head back to bring reinforcements.
Perfect.
And she says, as they head off, to you and Brilinya, "You are now part of my honor guard. Keep me alive."
Dunala's eyes, his face turns towards the queen, chieftess, and he has this very predatory look in his eyes, and I think Brilinya would notice. And that would be the end of his turn.
And now it is Brilinya's turn.
Brilinya is she's gonna run in the direction that she saw Dragonbait get hit in the shoulder behind the tree.
You can get over there. It's only about 15 feet away.
Okay, and while she's doing that, she's gonna be like just hissing out his name, trying to get his maybe attention.
And so you go around the tree where you saw him duck?
Yeah.
As you come around the tree, hissing his name, you see the glint of steel. And Dragonbait is pressed against the tree, panting heavily, an arrow in his shoulder. And he holds the longsword with 2 hands up across his body, the point inches from your throat. but the look in his eyes is one of not of hostility towards you, but you actually suddenly smell a little bit of that familiar, the scent of ham that seemed to, in your experience, indicate nervousness or worry. And then you smell just a little bit of honeysuckle, a scent that you've not much experience with. Roll me an insight. You have enough experience with dragon bait and his pheromones that you might be able to suss out what he's feeling.
I got a 22.
Honeysuckle kind of just hints at, for you, you just get this feeling that it seems to go along with concern. So that really pretty much just ate up your movement. Is there any action you want to take?
Yeah, she is going, she's going to take her bonus action to heal him by 4
Okay.
points.
And
then she's just going to be there and just like whispering to him, just, I know you're confused, but there's a plan that we have with the goblins.
he flashes his blade. He just gives, in his hand, it's no longer at your throat. He just gives it like a firm twist, and you just catch a wave of that angry baked bread smell. And you see his eyes narrow in just feral anger. Is that it for you?
Yeah. I think that was
Vale.
All right, so I will. I'm probably going to go running over to Brilinya as well, like just around dragon bait. Actually, no. I'm gonna. I'll be, because I'm probably standing. I'm standing right beside the queen, so I'll just tell her, like, look, we think we know that individual, so just calm down, and we're gonna go have a little chat with him, and maybe we can stop this whole sordid business with everything will be fine. Just take a deep breath, and we'll have you two get on in no time.
Her eyes are wide. She looks down at the 4 dead goblins. That the blood is still leaking out of their bodies. They're so freshly killed. You can still hear the 2 goblins that she sent off running for reinforcements as they're breaking through the brush, heading back the way you came. And she just looks at you and she says, You know this green shadow.
Well, we know him now. He's actually really quite nice. Given the circumstances, how things appear that, you probably don't think so, but he's actually really quite nice of a person. But we're just going to go talk with him. I don't know what's going on. Don't know what sort of things have happened, but we'll clear this up and we can just put a stop to this whole, green shadow murdering all of you nonsense. And everything will be fine.
Dunala, what is your thoughts upon hearing Vale tell the queen that he thinks he knows who this individual is?
Dunala thinks 3 things in very rapid succession. The first thing he thinks is that it is good that the party knows the Green Shadow, and that's another potential ally. The second thing he thinks is that this is horrible news, because there is no way that this goblin chiefess will work with us, knowing that one of our allies have been slaughtering her people for weeks now, and 3, it's cemented in his mind now that the queen has to die, or else everything that we've been doing will just go straight up to shit. So that is what Dunala's thoughts are at the moment.
What about you, Ubo? Having not really been able to track what was happening, you know that Brilinya went off behind this tree, and Vale says, "Hey, I think we know who this is."
Ubo would be torn between following Brill like he would used to and protecting his new friends. So I think he would probably move to a point, because the light is still up, where he would place himself between that tree and the chiefess. And just same thing, ready in action, just in case. Just really unsure what to do.
So at this point, still kind of compelled by Dunala's suggestion, and listening to Vale, seeing Ubo take up a protective stance, the queen orders her 2 remaining guards to just stand at the ready. And we're going to slip out of initiative for the time being, unless something happens. And allow Vale, if you wish to go over and talk to them, and Brilinya continue talking to Dragonbait. Dragonbait is panting heavily, gripping. You can hear that sound of this. His Holy Avenger is a very large sword that he's gripping it, and you can hear that sound of the leather. You know, as somebody grips leather tightly, just that squeaking. I don't know how to say it, but you guys know what I mean. Just that sound the leather's making as he's just gripping it so tight, and you're catching a lot of scents. And he's kind of, when you healed him, the arrow kind of pushed out a little bit, and he grabs it and yanks it out. And he begins to kind of, in the way that he communicates with the pheromones and just these kind of clicks and whistles, as he's just like, and gesturing wildly, looking at you imploringly, as if to say, how could you, and pointing at the goblins. And he begins gesturing in a way that the pantomiming and everything that he's doing, you're catching that he's kind of reminding you of you specifically, Brilinya. And he points at your arms and the lack of your ribbons, reminding you that it was this tribe of goblins that was working for Queothe, that dragged you off into the jungle, that took you to Queothe and forced you and your companions to run the Executioner's Row.
And she's just kind of like nodding along, just looking at him very, very just sympathetically, just nodding along to his gestures. And so once he's done, she would just, I know this is all very confusing, and it's a very long and odd story, but and she kind of would go into her pack and open it up towards pack and open it up and bring out the book and show him the construct and the amulet. And she would say, we want to get this amulet that the goblins have, and we want to activate this construct that they seem to worship, that they see as their god. And it was the only way that we could do it with as little bloodshed as possible. It was the only way that we could do it without another one dying, one of us dying. And she just kind of looks down.
He points at the picture of the amulet. And you kind of, anybody else that's not over there directly, you would just kind of see Dragonbait peer around the tree, looking. He does that thing where it's somebody that pokes out real quick to make a tactical assessment and pokes back. And then he's looking at you, Brilinya, and he gestures 3. And he points over there, indicating the 3 goblins. And he twists his sword, and he pulls the 3 down. And then he points at the amulet, and he points at you. And then he kind of, holding his sword, just kind of goes.
She shakes her head. And she says, no, we want to try and keep them on a relatively good side. There's tons of them, and they will keep hunting us. And it would not be good if we cross them.
He takes one hand off the sword, and he goes across his brow, and you smell, the scent changes to that of wood smoke. This is a smell that you smelled anytime he was around Artis Cimber. This is tied specifically to Artis and Dragonbait's devotion to him. And he gestures, looking out in the jungle with this scent kind of wafting off of him. Like, I don't know where he is, and I need to find him, and they are in the way. I want you to roll a persuasion check.
That's a 7.
Dragonbait begins to shoulder past you, to step out from behind the tree with his sword raised. He just does that thing where he looks at you, sees that you're not going to do anything, and he just kind of, as he walks by, he just bumps you, not too hard, but bumps your shoulder. And the rest of you would see this Sariel that you are familiar with, except you, Dunala. You see, would you ever have seen a Sariel before?
In his travels around Chult, I actually don't think he would have. I feel like they're very rare, and he would have never actually encountered one in the flesh.
How often does Dunala make it into Port Nyanzaru?
I would say he lives there for the most part. So
he lives in Port Nyanzaru mostly.
Yeah. Are they a big thing there?
Give me a history check.
Right. That is going to be a 15.
I think you would have heard of a Sariel in the area. Because of his rarity, you would have heard just a little bit of buzz around town.
All right.
But you don't know who he is.
As Dragonbait steps out, I don't know if did you see my private message?
I see it
If
now.
not, I'm just going to say it now. Basically, I'm ready in action. If Dragonbait is going to attack the queen, I'm going to subtle cast Chaos Bolt on her.
So Dragonbait steps out. He's holding the sword in 2 hands. And he looks around and he sees Ubo. And Ubo, he looks at you and he gives you a nod. Vale, he looks over at you and he gives you a nod. He takes the sword in one hand and just kind of goes.
Okay.
And he holds it down and at his butt back. Not in a relaxed position. And then you see his gaze shift to the queen.
When he does that, I want to make it very clear that Ubo is going to take a few steps or whatever he needs to put himself between him and the queen. And just keep shaking his head like, don't do that.
I'm going to look at the queen and say, Right, listen, Your Majesty, Your Highness, Your Chiefess, or whatever you like to call yourself. This is what happened. All right? And this is exactly what happened. And when your little friends, the other members of the tribe, come running up here, this is exactly what you're going to tell them. And I'm going to agree with you. Is that only due to the great power that Gadam has bestowed upon you, did you not chase away the green shadow? The green shadow is no more because of your power. This will solidify you in the eyes of your tribe, even more so than they already do, and they will think you are the great high Mucky Muck for years and years to come, providing you live that long. Now, of course, if any of these goblins were to ask us, we would probably agree with you. As a matter of fact, I don't think any of your little friends would ever dream of questioning your truthfulness. So again, what happened? I'll just wait for her to answer.
Give me an intimidation check, and I'm gonna have you do it at advantage because of the suggestion spell that's on her right now.
I totally forgot about that. Oh, and I actually, strangely enough, have some points in that. All right, come on, advantage, big money, no whammies. No.
You burned that 20 early on.
Yeah, I know, right? I rolled a 5 and a 2, so 8 is my advantage.
Dunala is watching this very carefully, so I'm assuming it's looking like she's not going to listen to this.
Wait a minute, I just realized something. I have inspiration. Can I use an inspiration to re-roll one of these?
I will allow it.
Okay. Cross everything.
Natural 1.
No, but it's only slightly better, so it's actually an 11. So, oh well.
I actually forgot to roll her charisma, so I'm actually going to say you didn't have to burn that inspiration, because with her -1, she only got a 1 to resist your persuasion. No, you know what? No. I still that
burnt
was
it.
that was my bad. That was my bad because I didn't set a DC and I forgot to roll the opposing roll. So I should have said, that 5 still succeeded against her 1. It doesn't look like it. It's not a very strong argument. Even those around you are just like.
That's pretty. I don't know. I think that's pretty smart. I mean, it's like, ooh, you chased away the evil green shadow.
No, it's a great idea, and in your head, it sounded exactly like you said it. But what came out of your mouth was a little stammery and kind of older, first level Vale, a little unsure of himself, and the others are kind of looking at you like, what the hell is he babbling about? And then she just kind of starts nodding, and her and her guard take a step back away from the rest of you. And they take another step, looking as if, are you going to let them go? As they begin to step back, Dragonbait takes a step forward.
Now, hang on a minute, everyone. Let's all just take a deep breath. Dragonbait, it's good to see you again, mate. You're looking really good, by the way, except for the arrow. But we'll fix that.
Hey Jake, Ubo's gonna mimic whatever he does, whatever Dragonbait does. He takes a step forward. I'll take a step forward closer to him.
Look, main thing, your royal greenness, is we need that amulet to sort out Gadam. I'm sure you want that as well. So why don't we just go to Gadam, or maybe, you just let us borrow the amulet. We'll give it right back to you. Scout's honor. And then you'll be fine, right? I mean, come on. You're just fine.
She looks up at you, clutching at the amulet. She looks at each of you in turn, and then she kind of peers around Ubo, looking at Dragonbait. She yanks on the amulet, breaking the leather thong that was holding it around her neck. She holds it out. She drops it on the ground. She looks again towards Dragonbait, and she spits on the ground. And then her and her goblins begin stepping backwards about 4 or 5 paces, and then they turn and begin running. Dragonbait tenses. And I'm actually going to make a wisdom check to see if he's going to make a go for it or if he's going to hold his ground. Dragonbait tenses. He looks at all of you, and he looks at you, Ubo. And suddenly he lunges to the left. And begins sprinting towards the 3 goblins.
That trigger my spell.
Yeah, you were holding for to see if he was going to attack. So you go ahead and roll to resolve what you're doing.
Already have. So I rolled a 16 plus 8, which I assume will hit the Goblin Chiefess for a total of 25 points of lightning damage. Because I'm subtly casting it, I'm not making any movements that look like I'm casting it, right? I'm not making any speech. I'm not making any movements. In fact, Dunala looks as if he's afraid, as this like shadowy beam of lightning, almost evanescent, like blinking in and out of reality, kind of falls from the sky and strikes the Goblin Chieftain. And he screams out of confusion, a fake confusion, but still confusion, as this sudden strange event happens.
So as that happens, there's a couple things I want to happen. First, I want Ubo. I want you to do whatever you're going to try to do to stop.
I was just going to try to grapple him.
All right, so you're gonna make a grapple check versus his acrobat or athletics check to try to dodge you. He's basically trying to feign to the left and dodge to the right.
Okay.
So
can I roll athletics too?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, okay. We'll make an unopposed athletics roll.
That's going to be a 23.
He almost succeeded in juking past you.
Jesus Christ.
Almost no, you got him. He almost succeeded in getting past you. He rolled a modified 20. And you almost fall for it, but you're just a little quicker. Your reflexes are just a little quicker, and you're able to counter and move along with him. Do you physically restrain him then?
I physically would want to tackle him. I would want to do like a double leg, takedown, kind of just grab, I'm so big, get my arms like behind his legs and just put all my weight and just hold him down.
Yeah, and I'll say with that successful athletics check, that's exactly what you do. And at that exact moment, this bolt of energy comes out of the sky and strikes the Goblin Chiefess. And I want Brilinya, Salida, and Vale. Dunala, I want a performance check. Tell us what you got after. Let's see. It's basically your performance versus everybody else's perception.
All right, so I got a 19 plus 5.
Insight.
All right, I got 19 plus 5. That's a 24 total.
Okay. So, Salida, you got a 24.
What was that face, Megan? You were like, what?
I got a natural 20 for a 24 as well.
Salida, I rolled a 19, but she doesn't have that much on the insight. What'd you get, Vale?
What was it again? What were we rolling again?
You're rolling insight.
Insight, thank you. All right, so that'll be 19.
Brilinya, you're the only one that can see through Dunala's ruse. As this chaos bolt, what does it look like what does it do to the queen when it kills her?
When it kills the queen, the bolt of chaos itself, when it hits her, it's as if she's being injected by something poisonous, right? It doesn't do what normal lightning you would think it would do. It still leaves that black mark, but her eyes roll to the back of her head, and she throws up like this weird black green vomit from her stomach, and then she falls to the ground, dead.
Brilinya is going to cast Hold Person on Dunala.
All right, Janala, wisdom saving throw.
Dunala, if he feels any magic, he will make no effort to stop it.
All right, so Dunala, you are immediately paralyzed magically. Ubo, as you kind of tackle Dragonbait to the ground, and you both, because he was moving toward the goblins, you kind of fall facing that way, and you see this bolt of energy as you're from your prone position. This bolt of energy strike the queen. You see her double over, heave this black green vomit, and then collapse dead. And Dragonbait struggling against you. What do you do?
I kind of like these goblins. I've enjoyed my time with them. I would probably keep them down there. I would, even though she's dead, the other ones are still there. I wouldn't want them to hurt them. So I would just try to keep them down. You want me to roll again?
No. You're still under that initial.
I would kind of like just really put all my weight on them, like try to climb a little bit higher and, just make it so that I don't have to hold them so tight. Just put 350 pounds of turtle on them. But yeah, the goblins kind of made me their friend. I don't want
you're getting all kinds of, because you're right there on him. You're catching hints of brimstone, roses, lemon, honeysuckle, wood smoke, tar, ham, just all these scents just wafting around. It's as if somebody's having a buffet in the middle of a garden while somebody's tarring a roof. It's just this cacophony, if that makes sense to describe smell. It's a olfactory cacophony. I'm gonna trademark that phrase.
There you go. Yeah, put it in a book, dog.
But just assaulting your senses. Vale, what is your reaction as this bolt of energy, unbeknownst to you where it came from, really struck down the queen?
I'm just completely flabbergasted. I have no idea. Like, I'll probably just shout out, like, "Did anybody see where that came from?" And just kind of like run around and start looking. And
the two goblins, seeing their queen fall, they immediately grab at her arms and try to pull her. She's too heavy for them. They do that thing where they bend over and they kind of pull at her, and they see that she's not budging, and they're hunched over and they look at all of you, and they kind of go like they're going to go for her again, and then they take off. They take off running in the direction of Yellyark. And that's where we're going to end. Dunala is being held by Brilinya. Dragonbait is being held on the ground by Ubo. Vale is looking around in confusion as the Shield Guardian control amulet lies on the ground at his feet, and about 20 feet away, the dead Queen Grabstab lays in the grass.
Vale's not the only one that's confused right now.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Drake has been making audible faces this entire time. Like, what's going on? What's happening? What is this?
I knew I'd won Drake over to the goblins when the four goblins cuddled up with him and slept on him.
He would have appreciated. I was thinking about that. No one's ever nice to. He was always a shit, and everybody looked down on him. But these goblins looked up to him, and I figured he would really enjoy that feeling. We all like being looked up to, right? So that's kind of why. But I still don't understand. Number one, how he's getting +8 on shit, and the other part, which I'll have to read up on the Yonti, but what just happened there with y'all? They'll have a little secret thing going. So I'll just
the little secret thing
about him blowing up the damn queen.
Oh, that's not a Yonti thing.
It's a Marquise thing.
That's a sorcerer thing.
It's a straight up sorcerer thing.
Yeah.
No. I mean, why he did. That was more what Ubo's really confused about.
Oh, I don't even know why he did it.
But that would be meta, so we'll figure it out.
This session was interesting because you have this added factor of having this new party member who's not really a part of your party. He hasn't won himself over to you yet. He's an unknown entity. You've had an old ally suddenly emerge as the bane of the goblins that's been slaughtering goblins. I didn't directly intend for there to be all of this inner, PvP on PvP, or knowing to what degree you guys would ally with the goblins, or really what your plan would be. So you guys really drove this session. I just kind of, threw some things out there. This was a lot of fun. I didn't even realize that we've been playing for probably 2.5, almost 3 hours. This was a lot for me. This was a lot of fun. There was a lot of great dynamics, interesting situations, and I like the kind of dichotomy that's set up within your party now. That Ubo's a fan of the goblins, Junala's clearly not, and we'll see where Vale and Brilinya sit on that spectrum in the next session. So hopefully, you guys all had as much fun as I did.
Always.
Oh, definitely. It's always an awesome game.
Now that I have my Wanty back, I am a very content Marquis.
So, a big thank you to everybody that was in the chat, watching along, and everybody that watches later on. I just want to give a quick shout out to HAZ37 for the Twitch Prime subscription. Appreciate it. And Dice on Ice playing in the game and cheering the game. Trying to keep that spot as the top cheerer. But thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you, of course, to these 4 amazing players, Mike, Marquise, Megan, and Drake.
And stay tuned for Wednesday.
Yeah. Quick shout out. May, you can head over to my Twitter channel, to Twitter at MTDJake. There's a pinned post that has my schedule for May. I'm playing a lot of games this month, but on this Wednesday and a couple more days during the month, Drake and I are running the Harbinger games on twitch.tv/somethingRPG-ish, using the Absolute Tabletop Harbinger rules and a little bit of Hunger Games flavoring. And you'll see me and Jake in ties. I'm just saying. That's right.
Saying. Yes, that's right. Jake,
that's right. Yeah, I had that momentary look of I forgot we were doing that. You want to make sure to remind me before Wednesday.
But you can just put it on with that shirt, just right there.
And that's going to be on the Something RPG's Twitch channel, but that will also be coming out in the short term after the 3 initial games are done. We're actually going to release those as podcast episodes. So definitely check that out on that channel. Be sure to follow all of these amazing people on Twitter or on their YouTube channels, and see what they're up to. Some amazing games. And Megan, more so than anybody else, we'll see on the channel quite a bit. Starting next Sunday night, right here on Mini Terrain Domain Twitch channel, will be the Bastards of Bastion Harbinger campaign with Megan, Chad Allen Smith, Dwight Wade, and Alexandra Tugui. I don't know if I said her last name right. She's better known as Blue Alexa on Twitter. and Twitch. And that will be going on Sunday nights for the next 8 to 10 weeks. As well as everything going on all their channels and all that good stuff. So, as always, thank you everybody for tuning in while we play some Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this has been MT D&D Mitted and